So I'll be teaching you how to play the fingerpicking part for Why Georgia by John Mayer. This is an intermediate song, so if you are a beginner, I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching this video, but you can if you want to. I'll only be covering the fingerpicking parts, and I'll leave the chords in the description of the video so you can play the rest of the song. But this is the kind of part where you kind of need to know the strings and kind of what's going on. So yeah. Okay, let's start off with the beginning. So the intro of the song starts off, you're essentially playing a G and a D chord, but you're playing them differently. So the first part, take a G shape and you want to add your pinky finger, this finger, on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, so on the B string, like that, and then you want to take off your pinky and you want to take off your index finger. So you have your middle finger and then this finger as well. So it should sound like this if you play them open. Okay, you take the top string and you play it once, take the E string, and then you play the 4th and 5th string together, so the B and the G string. So you essentially, you play the first one, this is my finger movement, so there's one, and then you play the 2 strings there, so the G and the B. So you should sound like this. It should sound like this. Pretty easy, right? Next part of it is a hammer-on. So you see you have your index finger free, and you want to aim it at the 2nd fret, on the G string. So you want to essentially just hammer on with that string there. So you play this, so you play 1. That makes sense? So you can see here, top string, 2 of these, and you're just hammering on with that. And then you just repeat the same thing that you were doing, so. Now, I think that in the actual song, you can hear him slap again, but I don't usually do that slap, just the way I play it. And you can add that in if you want, but I don't do it. So you kind of do 1. That's where the slap is. But in my case, it's keep doing that over and over again until you get it right, but it might get a bit boring. So the next part is essentially you're playing a D chord, but you're playing it with a C shape up here. Before you make this shape, you need to play the A string open. So it should sound like this, right? Like that. We're just leaving that string open because it gives us time to change to the next kind of chord structure. So I'm assuming you know, obviously, the G and the C shape. So you're going to take a C shape here, you're going to move it so that the root of the shape is on the 5th fret on the A string. Does that make sense? So, see what I'm doing there? Okay, so pick the top 2 strings here, minus this one, so it's the A and the D string. So you pick these 2 ones here. So pick those 2, and then you play the A string again. That's what you're kind of playing. So 2, the A string once, then the G string, then the A string, and then the D and the G, if that makes sense. Might be a bit fast there, but I don't want this tutorial to be too long. So I'm not moving the shape at all. In fact, in the actual song, he plays this B string, but I'm not playing it just to simplify the song, and it sounds fine without it. I've only got it here just in case you hit that string. It should still be part of the chord, so it should sound okay. So if we put this together, we get... I'll play it slower just so you can play along. Now, we talked about adding that slap in this bit. There's also another one here. So when you play dun, you add that slap kind of halfway between that second part. So that is the main part of the verse, and yeah, so I'll now show you the next part, which is the trickiest part of the fingerpicking section, but it should be okay. Essentially, the shape that you're using is similar to a C add 9, if you know what that is. So essentially it's a C, obviously you have your two fingers, end fingers, on the 3rd frets of the B and the E. And what we're going to do, when you have those fingers in that position, you're going to take your pinky off, and you're going to move your index finger down there onto the string below, on the same fret but on the string below, so it's going to move onto the G string. That's the kind of shape that you want to keep throughout this next kind of progression. We'll take a look. This is what it should sound like. That is, even I kind of struggle with that bit, as you can probably hear, but it doesn't sound bad, especially when you have vocals over it. So, keep this position, and you want to play the top string of your progression, so the A string. And just like the first part, with the G major, you play the G and the B string afterwards, so, see here, so A, and then the other strings there, so yeah, G and B string, keeping this position. So now the next part you do is you take this pinky and you want to kind of hammer on, so this is why it can be hard when you're playing fast, because you have to really hammer that pinky on. Now there are percussive slaps, just like the first bit. I'm not going to be covering them, I don't think, because I'm not sure if I use them. Once you've done that, you play the same 2 strings, so you play the G and the B again, so, but except you hammer off with your index finger. So this is what it should look like with the finger side. Next part, so essentially repeating how you did it at the start of the progression. So you're doing at the start again, 1, and then you're repeating it. So 5th, G and B, 5th, I was keep saying 5th, A, sorry, the A string. If that makes sense there, I didn't really explain it very well, but it is kind of difficult to do. So here we have this bit. After that hammer on, all it really is, you're just using these strings here. So you're using this string and then these 2. You're not changing at all, you're always using those strings. So if you do get lost, you can just try and figure it out using those. Hopefully I explained that right, but just go back in the tutorial if it kind of didn't make sense. So, again, there is that percussive slap, which is used in the original. Don't use it in mine. Because I didn't use it in the first part, it kind of feels a little bit weird. I only have 1 slap in it. That's just how I play it. Don't really ask me why, it's a lot easier. So if we put this whole thing together, I'll do it really slowly so you can play along. and then at normal speed. Okay, so that is essentially the full song. It is kind of difficult when you're singing, but again, if you kind of get the main structure of that progression, it should be fine. It should sound okay, mainly because obviously you're playing G major, so all of the open strings are in the G scale. So yeah, if you go wrong, it's not too much of a big deal, but just keep practicing. It will take a while. I remember I was at this song for a really long time before I managed to get it down. But yeah, so hopefully this tutorial helped you. Sorry I was really bad at explaining things, but hopefully it goes well. So goodbye.